My name is Davis West, and I am currently a senior at USC Upstate. For this project, I chose to visit the Windsor House to do my 10 hours of community service. Throughout this entirety, I have learned so much about older generations and what's to come with the aging process. On the back of their business card, they have a slogan that says, "Here to make the journey with you," which adds that assurance that one will be there no matter what for your loved one. The Windsor House is located on 850 John B. White Sr. Boulevard in Spartanburg, South Carolina. This Windsor House is located right next to one of the most well-known Hatcher Gardens in South Carolina upstate. To get to the Windsor House from upstate, it takes approximately 20 to 25 minutes depending on the traffic. As I take my drive to the Windsor House, I always found myself thinking what I might encounter that day. Will I learn something new from somebody? Will I learn something that I could take and encounter into my own life? It was always a mystery of what I might learn that day, but I always knew I was in for a treat. As one arrives at the Windsor House, they are immediately felt welcome. This location provides great agricultural environment that makes one feel as homey as possible. This is one of their priorities with all their assisted living individuals that live here is to make them feel like they are part of a community as a whole, as well as make them as comfortable as possible in their living environment. One thing that I found very unique about this environment was the fact that it was such a fun-loving environment and everybody seemed to have gotten along with each other. There was always a sense of humor in the air as one would talk with others and a sense of joy that each resident found at this location. They always seemed to have smiles on their face and always had something fun to do throughout their day. As I mentioned earlier, the environment around the Windsor House is none less than beautiful. There are plenty of flowers planted each season, and all the residents have their own little garden if they would like it. Many of the residents choose to partake in bedding flowers and other types of activities outdoors, such as they would have at their own house. This gives them that added extra sense of hominess in the environment. There's also an awesome display of seasonal activities for the residents to encounter. Each season, there's new decorations and new activities for the residents at this home to enjoy. This also gives an added sense of peace and pleasure to their living environment as they go throughout the aging process. This particular service learning site was a very laid back and comfortable one. There are four separate housing developments on the property, three in which are strictly living corners. Each of these buildings has staff on its clock all day, every day. The facility also has at least one nurse on call 24/7, 7 days a week, so that the residents can receive medical attention whenever it's needed. The staff of this facility varies based on the shifts. Some shifts require more staff than others, such as the shifts during the day require more hands on deck than the shifts at night. This facility also has a handful of regular volunteers, and they have numerous churches in the surrounding area that come to volunteer and take time out of their day to do so. One of the things I learned most about the community is that this facility strives to make it a unified community. At the Windsor House, there is a great sense of unity. Each building is run with the same focus, and that is to make the residents' stay as pleasurable as possible and to create relationships among these residents so that they feel they are involved and have a support system as they go through the aging process. The type of care that the individuals receive at this facility would not fall under the concept of informal caregiving because these individuals are receiving care by qualified individuals and can get the care needed depending on each individual's personal need. This also allows the individual at the facility to acquire the assets the facility can provide in order to accommodate their stay and make it as pleasurable as possible. Each building is accommodating with a formal library as well as a TV. These center locations give the residents time to interact with each other throughout the day. At any point in the day, you can walk into these libraries and see the residents here interacting with one another, talking about old memories and sharing new stories. The library stays stocked with new books and books that are of interest for the residents. They often are seen passed around from resident to resident if something is found that is being liked. This also houses where many of the residents choose to partake in board games and other fun activities such as bingo and checkers. I have also learned a lot of what it takes to run one of these residencies, from jobs such as administering medicines to the residents, producing proper meals for good diets, and providing therapy that is centered around the needs of each individual. All these jobs are required in order to make this place run as proper as it can be. Without these individuals to provide these services, at older adult facilities, the aging process would be less enjoyable for us. Since the beginning of this service learning process, I have learned so much about the aging process and a lot about myself through this experience. One thing I felt that would be hard was for me to incorporate myself into the daily activities of this facility, but the staff made this as easy as possible, as well as the residents. I was worried that I would not put myself out there enough to learn the most I could in the little amount of time I was there. I found that I overcame this, and when I let go and put my neck out there, I could learn more about the aging process through this environment than I could have from a book. I would normally not be able to do this. These facilities provide a comfortable aging process for individuals of need, and I could not express how much I have learned through this experience and how much I will carry this on